Sanchez, so like I said, your profile is really rich and you've achieved so much, and I think there's so much that we can all learn from. And I think for me, where I want to start has got to do with expressing your creativity and your calling through the different things that you've done. I think that will be lesson one for all of us. The Ghana Garden and Flower Show, Ghana Garden and Flower Movement, and there's so many other things that you have been able to do. Women Share, Praise Jam, which is tomorrow, by the way, Nurture to Bloom. Can you just talk us through how those things came about and how you had the courage to actually pursue your interests?
I'm surprised that you know about all of those.
I did my homework.
You did a lot of homework. I was telling my husband, this woman has been spying on me. Yeah, I just believe that God gives us a talent to glorify Him and to benefit our neighbors. That for me sums up the great commandment. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your being, and love your neighbor as yourself. So as you give expression to what God has given you, you glorify Him. And then people around you benefit from that. And the good thing is, you're doing this and then you eat from that as well. So as you benefit other people, you're also able to take from it and eat. So I look around me, and that's actually how Stratcom Africa even began. I usually look around me and see situations that require some intervention. And I think through how people could be helped, or how I could put myself at the service of people. And that is how a lot of the ideas come. So first of all, with Stratcom Africa, it started with me looking at unemployed youth. One of them who had attended Cape Coast University said to me, they told me I did English and religions and I'll never really get a job because that doesn't teach you a profession. I said, no, they lied to you. The religion helps you to understand people, their values, their beliefs, and what gives them grounding or what keeps them rooted. English literature teaches you about human behavior. So the scientists who haven't done literature and religions tend to produce things that the world cannot use because they have engineered things with metal, but not with human engineering. And so I started teaching them communication. They were willing to come to my house early in the morning, so I would teach them and off to work. That is how Stratcom Africa began. And then, of course, Ghana Garden and Flower Show. I look at us, God created the world as a garden.
Yep.
And then He created a home which was a garden. That was for the first Adam. And then I look at the second Adam. When he was in turmoil, he ran to the Garden of Gethsemane. So I thought, there must be something. Aisha, you're responsible for this. My phone is always on silent. I turned it on so I could hear you call.
Okay.
So I said, there must be something about gardens. But God also said we should take care of gardens. When you go to Genesis chapter 2, verse 9, it says, God created plants that are pleasing to the eye and for food.
Yep.
A lot of us, some of us pay attention to the one for food, but not the ones that are pleasing to the eye, which help us to be psychologically sound. Research has shown that people who live in places where there are gardens are more sober, they are serene, high blood pressure issues are less, etc., etc. So I look at all this, and then in Ghana, we have sunshine, we have water, we have soil, we have flora and fauna. and that other countries do not have. And we have people in the streets begging and also selling, and sometimes being knocked down by cars. So I thought, when I add the sun, the water, the soil, and the plants that God has given us, they don't add up to poverty. They add up to foreign exchange. They add up to employment, business. So why don't I get people to get involved in that? But most importantly, they add up to a clear weapon for fighting climate change,
Yep.
which is affecting us and which is going to, resulting in poverty and hunger. So I thought, why don't I get people to work on gardens? Because when we say global warming, climate change, then people are thinking of the UN
COP27
government,
or 20,
COP27.
whatever,
And
24.
you and I can never be close to COP27. So I thought, okay, let me bring in my behavior change communication expertise. If now I'm letting out the secret. If I tell people that by planting you are healthier, it means more to them. By planting you can be wealthy because you can sell the plants and make money. By planting and exporting flowers, for instance, as is done in Kenya, Ethiopia, etc., what do? We bring in foreign exchange instead of using foreign exchange to import flowers. So, and then by planting, we have a greener, better environment, healthier, because this God that created us did it in such a way that you do not always have to go to the hospital for an oxygen tank to be put on you. The plants around you are your oxygen tank. They give you oxygen and you let out the carbon dioxide to them. So a healthier Ghana, a greener Ghana, a wealthier Ghana, and we like beautiful. Sometimes I'm driving and I'll see a framed arboretum house with flowers and all that. And sometimes I see queues of people trying to get visas to go out. And you talk to some of them, and they want a place that's nicer than here. But the people who live there made it nice. So I said, we can have a more beautiful Ghana. So once I started communicating health, beauty, and all that, then so a show that started with 14 exhibitors and 1,400 visitors in 2013. Last year, I think we had over 28,000 visitors.
Wow.
In a matter of
Round of applause.
7 days, and over 100 exhibitors. We put out the announcement, a call for exhibitors only about 2 weeks ago, and I think they're there and it's my staff. They've done amazing. I have not been involved. And there are close to 100 exhibitors there, and people are going there. So and then share. Woman, hey, I say, your hair looks good, your dress.
So does yours.
So, where did you get it done? Then I tell my children, I want them to go to a good school. So we share, right? And sometimes when we are pushed, we share a little gossip as well. So, and from a communications point of view, that's a powerful communication tool. So I thought we can share to make each other better. So SHARE stands for Women Soaring Higher, Achieving Real Excellence, because information grows richer when it is shared. So I thought of SHARE, and what we do is we come together, 15, 20 women or 10, and we share intimately. And I can tell you, each time we have done this, some people have had release from things that were really tormenting them. Sometimes we do chapters from a book. The last one we did was on sexual harassment. And I tell you about 90% of the people in the room had stories to tell, and we supported each other. Nurture to bloom. I look at women in the workplace, and I see that we do so much which is not understood. I was trying to hire a young lady, and I asked her, and this was early in the days of Stratcom Africa. I said, my husband asked her, how would you feel working under a woman? And she said, at this point in my life, I'm very comfortable. That's that's what I want. So I asked why. She said, you know, okay, they only says, men see the forest, women see the trees in the forest. When I want to develop in my profession, I like to work under a woman. And I said, why? Because they are particular, and they will check on everything you're doing. Men, they'll give you the assignment, hey, you got it done, you know. And I thought, but this is what gets women into trouble at the workplace. We're too fussy, we're too picky. And sometimes even females feel that a female boss is too much, because my male boss wouldn't say this to me, but the female boss, she wants this, she wants that. But but then so I said, nurture to bloom is designed to help the world understand the peculiar nurturing capabilities that God in his wisdom bestowed on us. And he, in his wisdom, decided that he will put God-made things in us to bring out and nurture through science, using knives, which are implements in the kitchen, to cut vegetables, combine them in the right proportions, chemistry, and biologically checking our weight and our height and all that, for them to grow to be men. And we say we can't handle man-made things when we handle God-made things. So I thought, then we are not glorifying God. Let's start something, and it's called Nurture to Bloom. And the first one we did was in the context of the Ghana Garden and Flower Show, because in gardening, we are nurturing. And a woman nurtures by sowing a seed, nurturing it, checking it, and sometimes pruning it, adjusting it when it's going the wrong way. So that is what Nurture to Bloom is about. And it is also supposed to show the beauty of what God put in man, in woman. The last one is, and as a Fanti, I always say, and I'm teaching Aisha Fanti, we're doing it by WhatsApp. You see, woman, woman, a woman, woman, and then it's woman. You give birth to man, and you give birth to nations. You see, the final one that Aisha didn't mention is read it, write it, say it. Read it, write it, say it is about reading it. Children are not reading.
Mm-hmm.
And so we use, but they make reading, it's like how my teachers made arithmetic difficult for me, so I don't like arithmetic. Reading has to be fun. People have to know that I need to read for my own benefit, because if I go to the hospital and I'm given medication, I need to be able to read and all that. So people should not see reading as a school course, a school program. It's a lifestyle need, you understand me? But behind all of it too, when you read the Bible, a lot of the times it says, it is written. It is written. How can they read what is written if they do not know So we see that a lot of people may not be reading the Bible because either they can't read or they don't know how to read. And other people read it and interpret it for them, either rightly or wrongly. So those are some of the things that inspired these and other things that I have done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Auntie Esther, for that amazing overview. There's so much in there. I think some of the things that jumps out to me were that you were not afraid to start. You identified the problems, you looked at your interests, because I'm sure you're an avid gardener. You love plants, right?
Yeah.
And so that influenced your decision to do the Ghana Garden and Flower Show and the other things that you spoke about. I think some of the challenges that sometimes women face, I mean people, but women have come to me and told me as well that they're just afraid to start. You know, what if I get it wrong? What if it's not right? What if it's not perfect? What if other people are doing what I'm doing? How can mine be different? So I think the encouragement there is that we shouldn't be afraid to start. And even if 10 people are doing flower shows, this is your flower show with your stamp on it, and nobody can do it quite the way you do it. So I want to encourage all of us to have that in mind and not be afraid to start. I think if this was a class, lesson 1, I mean, this was lesson 1 for me. And lesson 1, I think I'll summarize it in the way that you should express your calling and be creative, right? If we go to Ephesians 2, verse 10, we are God's masterpiece, created to do good works. So think about the good works that you want to do, which He predestined in advance anyway. Look at your interests, spend time with God, spend time with yourself to determine, what do I actually like? Like someone recently told me, I mean, she said, the problem is I don't know what I like. I don't know what I want. That is actually the problem. So if you don't know what you like or what you want, how can you start? So it's important to have that alone time where you actually question yourself and go before God and just ask Him and ask yourself as well, what is it that I want to do? What do I like? What is my interest? Why do I like what I like? And I think once we go through that process, we can then gather the bravery and ask God to stir up our hearts to be able to take the step to express our creativity. Auntie, I wanted to say something.
Yeah. Yesterday I was working with some female executives, and I said to them, the message that you give comes from inside you, as the Bible says. Out of the goodness of our hearts, the mouth. So first of all, you have to speak into yourself. Believe in what you want to do. Mistakes, getting it wrong, getting up, that's me. It's happened in every aspect of what I have done. But as I say to the staff in the office, a mistake is a resource depending on how you use it. And that is what I really believe in. Yes, God has made you unique. People may try to photocopy you, but there's no photocopier on this earth that can accommodate you. You are God's special creation. And that is what I have seen. And I like what Aisha says, go before God. Don't look right or left, just as Moses told Joshua. Just look ahead. Look to your God. When Peter was trying to walk on the sea, and he could have said, look up. Don't look down. Look to your God. He created you. He gave you the creative spirit. So look to Him. Ask Him. Sometimes it will look like kwata, 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 kwata. But look to Him. He will pick you up.
Amen. Round of applause, please, for Auntie Esther. I hope you guys are taking notes because this is powerful stuff. A mistake is a resource, right? So let's use the resources that we are creating ourselves very well. Maybe just to share as well, I mean, my friend Ama Apokwa shared it during the introduction side. 10 years ago, she and I started a business together, our side hustle, and while she was doing her PhD at the University of Ghana, and I was still working at PwC, and it was a hat and fascinator business, way before they became really, really, really common now. And she used to make them herself with her hands, and I was the business person behind it. And she would sell and would go to places, and, you know, other people were doing fascinators, but ours were doing well because it had our stamp on it. And when it was time to shut down that business, we did. It lasted for about 4 years. And so, again, there are so many things that I have done, she has done, other people have done. Another friend of mine is here, I won't call her out, but she has a business where she sells men's clothes, men's shoes, and men's accessories, because she likes men's things. And she has customers all over Ghana, guys who just call her and show up at her house and collect shoes and shoes and shoes, because she has the eye, she has the taste for it. And so we should be brave enough to express our creativity and start, and not be afraid to make a mistake.